Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Uncaped Mama. I'm Dom, the Uncaped Mama. This channel is all about me coming to talk about motherhood, my experiences, having guests, where we talk about their experiences or their areas of expertise. My goal is for you to figure out how to parent your way. And today's topic might get me canceled, although I don't really believe in canceling. Like, I don't think anybody's ever actually canceled because whatever, we know how society is. These are unpopular parenting opinions that might get me canceled. I mean, let's get into it. I did some research because I just wanted to see, like, what are other moms saying? But I just feel like there are some things that need to be said, and I think it will help new moms and current moms and people who stress out about like these perfect ways of parenting. Like, there's no one way to parent. There's no one right way to do anything, literally. So there are just a bunch of ways to parent and be a good parent. And at the end of the day, you can be an excellent parent and your kids are going to grow up and make choices that have nothing to do with how you raise them. So we're going to get into it. You might side eye me. You might be like, what the hell? I promise. I promise. It's no judgment. It is all love, and it's all real talk. That's why I created this channel. So I want you to know that this episode is a judgment-free zone. I just want to challenge unrealistic expectations of parents. That's it. So before we dive in, I want to hear from you after this episode. Head to my socials or in the comments here. Uncaped Mama on TikTok, Instagram, or again on YouTube, and share your unpopular parenting opinions with me. I want to hear them. I want to see them because I think this could be an ongoing conversation. And if I see some good ones, then we'll do a part 2, or they may just turn into full-on episodes because some of these I'm like, yeah, these need to be full episodes. Some of the stuff I found. So let's go. Let's go. So number 1. Not every parent loves the baby stage, and that's okay. I just remember people telling me, oh, the baby stage is the easiest. The infant stage, oh, you're going to miss it. And there are stats that say up to 20% of mothers experience postpartum depression, and even those without PPD often struggle. And let me tell you, I did with my son and my daughter. It was very hard. And for me, it was lots of guilt, lots of sleepless nights. I did not blame my babies. I don't even think the crying or anything like bothered me. It was more like I ended up in a situation I wasn't expecting. And so I was grieving my old life. I lost a lot of independence. I didn't have help from the folks who made the kids with me, like in the way that I expected, right? Like, and like if you see my other videos, like things got better over time, but it was not what I expected at all. So I did not enjoy the infant stage. I love my kids. I didn't enjoy the baby stage. I'm sorry. And I'm not convinced it's better than the toddler stage. Like, not yet. I'm not there. And I don't know. I think it sets up this unrealistic expectations that there won't be challenges at every stage of parenting. You are growing and learning more things about yourself. And then this child who's growing and developing is experiencing new stuff all the time and trying to figure out like what to do with all of that. And you're trying to figure out how to parent them or guide them through that. There's always going to be a challenge. I don't know that any stage is better than the other, in my opinion. And this is coming from somebody with nieces and nephews of all ages, right? I don't know that there was an age I loved the most. And I'm a former teacher, and I taught 5th graders, 10-year-olds that most people don't want to teach. I enjoyed them. I know parenting them and teaching them is different, but I don't know if one part was more challenging than the other. I really don't. I found this Reddit quote. And it said, mine is when people say it goes by so fast. One day you'll miss when they were this little. I can't help but scoff internally. The newborn stage doesn't go by fast enough. Don't kid yourself. We are all miserable during this stage. I can't say I disagree. It's hard. It's hard. Okay. So does it go by fast? No. No, it doesn't. And not every person loves the baby stage, and that's cool. Don't shame people or tell them, oh, you're going to regret saying that. Like, Let them have their feelings. You're not in their body. You're not their child. You're not parenting their child in the same way that they are. You're not experiencing the same stuff they're experiencing while parenting their child in their household, in their relationship, in their city, with their job, with all of their circumstances. It's okay to not enjoy that. So, have you ever, as a parent, felt guilty for not loving every second of parenting? If so, you're not alone. Like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. And I wish people would stop acting like it's supposed to be, or stop acting like you are a superior parent because there are certain parts of parenting you enjoy, or you enjoy every part of it. It doesn't make the person who's being honest with themselves about what they don't enjoy a bad parent. It just means I don't like that part. Like, I love sports. Okay. I love track and field, it's my favorite. I hate sprinting now. And I was a good sprinter, like in elementary school and middle school. And back then I hated long distance, right? I hated stretching. I did. It was like my least favorite part. I just wanted to run. I wanted to do my long jump and triple jump, throw my shot, put in discus. I hated like the warm ups and the stretching. I did not enjoy it. Now in my older age, I'm like, shit, I need to stretch more. So like, it is okay. I really love my life. I hate paying bills. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Okay. All right. Hopefully you get the point. Like, right? I like having a car. I don't like having to pay for it. I don't like getting car maintenance. I don't enjoy that shit, and it's okay. All right. Unpopular opinion number 2. Your kids don't owe you anything just because you raised them. And I will say this might be my number 1. I will stand 10 toes down. Your children don't owe you a damn thing because you raised them. Parenting is a responsibility, not a contract where kids must pay you back. That's fucking insane. Like, stop that. Like, some examples are like toxic family guilt and parents demanding constant gratitude. You should be grateful. And now that you're this age, you have a job, you should give me back because when you were 5, I bought you some shoes. The fuck? What? That's your job. That's your responsibility. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, my kids don't owe me anything. Nothing. If they never got me a gift, they don't owe me anything in their adulthood for being a good mom and taking care of their responsibilities, right? If we do that well and we have a culture of, gifting and sharing and showing love and things like that, right, in a certain way in our household, then like they'll get down with that culture and that norm, but making them feel bad because they're grown and want to do whatever they want to do with their money and their time, they don't owe me. They do not owe me. Stop it. Here's a Reddit quote. Love is not enough to be a parent. I'm so fed up with all these posts from moms who admit they are financially unstable or are in abusive relationships or have severe and debilitating mental or physical health issues, but it's fine because they love their kids. No, it's not usually fine. And in some of those situations, those are the ones that tell them their kids they owe them, and they're forcing these kids to grow up and be a part of adult conversations and adult decision making. And then you expect them to take care of you. And then you're mad because they don't know how to be a child or stay in a child's place. Well, you put them in an adult's place. You made them responsible for things. You want them to pay you back for stuff they don't owe you. So which one is it? You want to be a kid or you want to take care of you? Which one is it? Are they a child? Or are they responsible for you, for raising you at this point? Like, cut that out. It's one of the things like makes me cringe and like almost makes me want to fight when I hear it, because I'm sick of it. Like I see it too much. So would you rather your child love and respect you genuinely or out of obligation? And I think about this a lot, even when I think about like discipline. Am I trying to raise a like well-behaved child or a responsible adult? If I'm trying to raise a responsible like human being in general, you're going to have to make some mistakes for us to be able to talk about why that was a mistake. Otherwise, you're not going to know how to critically think and navigate an ever-changing world. I don't want you to just be compliant out of fear of me, because then you're going to move through life in fear like I did for a really long time. I just moved in fear, like paranoia, like decision paralysis. I don't know what decision to make because I'm afraid of every fucking option. I don't want that to be the case for kids. Like, I'm not saying that life is the same. I'm not saying life ain't hard. I'm not saying parenting isn't hard. What I'm saying is it is not responsible for your child to raise themselves. And don't even feel like since they turned 18, it's time to cut them off, put them out. They still don't actually know what the fuck is going on in the world. I turned 30 and was like, oh yeah, I don't know nothing. And I had been going since I was 18. I got to 30 and was like, yep, I legitimately don't know anything. And I need my mom and my grandma. Because I got questions. Like, I don't know what is happening here in, 2015. What the hell is happening in 2015, 2016? It was rough, right? Like, just stop that. They don't owe you nothing. They don't owe you nothing for raising them. That is your job. That is your responsibility. There are so many things that are your responsibility, and the other party doesn't owe you anything for that, right? Your wife doesn't owe you anything for you doing your part being a good wife or husband, and vice versa. I don't owe you anything extra. And my kids don't owe me anything extra because I raised them. Like, I could talk about it all day because it'll take me from like being cool to like, get out of my face real fast. Number 3, you are not responsible for your child's happiness. You're not. The only person's happiness you're responsible for is yours. And the reality is, life ain't always happy. There's going to be boredom. There's going to be sadness. There's going to be guilt. There's going to be shame. There's going to be like, you're going to be exhausted. You're going to be confused. You're going to be bored. Like, all of that. Like, your job is to guide, not shield them from every emotion. It is impossible to shield them from every emotion. You're not even in their body. I don't tell my daughter or my son when they're crying, you're okay. Not intentionally, at least. It may slip out because culture. But the reality is, they're not just crying, just be crying. They have a need that needs to be met. They can't figure out how to get it met. So they're crying. And the crying could be frustration, anger, tired. They could be in pain, right? Like, I don't want to shield them from their feelings. Allowing them not to feel does not make them a better human. It makes people who have this pent up emotion that blows up at some point, and then people aren't sure how to navigate emotion. They don't know what support they need. They don't know what their intuition, their inner voice sounds like. They struggle in life. They start to feel alone. They start to feel conflicted. No, cut it out. Let your kids learn from failure. You don't need to be a helicopter parent. I let my kids learn from failing. When I'm telling my kids, like, I'm trying to keep you safe, like, don't climb out of that thing, and they keep doing it, I let them fall. Guess what? They don't do it again. It hurt. They're not dramatically hurt, by the way. There's not even anything tall enough for them to, like, break a leg. But you think you can climb out of your pack and play? And I've told you no. Because I've told you you're going to flip out, like, and land on your butt, and that's going to hurt on this wood floor. And then you do it. I'm right there. Like, within reach, because I know you're going to cry. And yes, I'm going to comfort you. But they got to learn from that mistake. They got to learn from not listening to me. Same thing when they would get their cup and pour it upside down because they thought, oh, that's cool. It's dripping out. I didn't go refill it. Not right away. I told them, you poured it out. When you pour it out, it's gone. Got to learn from that. Now, that don't happen. Right? Now we drinking out of straws and stuff like that. Now we're like, we understand, what's in the cup is for me to consume when I need it. And if I pour it out, I don't have it. Same thing with like sleep. Sometimes I'll fall asleep on them. They were in a safe place. I'm trying to help you, right? Like, we got a night routine or whatever, and you staying up. Mom is sleepy. I fell asleep. Now, I'm in the same room with you. But like, you're going to realize in the morning you're tired, and we waking up at the same time. Couple days, they figured it out, right? Like, I'm not responsible for their happiness. I let them be bored sometimes. Like, I want them to, and I watch them, like, how do they navigate when they're bored? Because maybe there's some activities I've taken away, right? I've removed the tablet, the TV.
Podcast, we definitely discuss healing. We discuss aspects of psychology. We discuss, like, you becoming the best you, mental wellness,
For sure.
health,
Femininity, parenthood, dating
definitely
as
dating.
single parents. And it's from a lens of two psychologists,
Yeah,
So,
but also to people who grew up like with both parents, married parents, and then, like, you all know that Chloe and I are the youngest of our crews, like her
yeah.
siblings and my siblings. So yeah, so it's from that
Looking,
perspective
yeah,
as
looking at
that.
life through that lens. So
Yeah.
you're gonna get a whole lot of things from us being women, going through life as parents, and all of these awesome attributes. But
Yeah.
yes, womanology, the study of women.
The study of women.
TV's off. There's not a bunch of stimulation, but there's plenty to do in your house. There's lots of things you could do. I watch where they navigate and let them get imaginative and creative. That's an excellent skill. They will start to play with each other. They've got stuff to climb on. That safe play. They'll go grab a book, they'll grab a puzzle, all that stuff. They'll go to my son will go to a sensory corner. They find things. Or sometimes they'll just come sit next to me and start babbling. And we'll make up some songs or whatever, right? Like sometimes like there's no stimulation in the car. I won't even have the music on. And what do? They look out the window and like observe the sun and kind of giggle at the shadows, right? Like I want them to be able to be mindful of what's happening. And again, like it's going to take a while for them to really get that lesson as they continue to grow up. But I can't be responsible for their happiness. I do my damnedest for them, right? I think I take damn good care of them. But I will fall apart trying to make them happy 24/7. That's wild. The Reddit quote says, "You don't need to entertain your kid 24/7, and you don't need to make them happy all the time. Being bored and being upset are both normal and healthy." Literally. So, you know, my kids grow from the struggle. We all do. We all do. I think there are things that like I learned a lot of things the hard way. And I know my mom and my grandma tried to tell me about things without being helicopter parent and grandparent. Like, and sometimes you get curious and you just want to go find out for yourself. And then I'd be like, damn, they were right. Now my feelings are hurt and I'm sad and I'm guilty and I feel ashamed. And I had to go through that range of emotions. And to come to them, let go of my pride and my ego and say, you was right. And they like, mm-hmm. But they said, but you got to learn. You got to learn. That's it. You got to learn. Sometimes you got to learn on your own. And it's true. They weren't trying to be responsible for my happiness 24/7. And you can't do it. Like it is unrealistic. It is like truly an unrealistic burden you're putting on yourself. So don't do it. All right, number 4. The perfect mom standard is a lie created to keep you burnt out. There is no perfect mom. Like society makes moms feel like they should like do it all. You were never meant to do it all. That leads to exhaustion and burnout and like severe sadness, depression, anxiety. You start to feel this immense guilt. You end up like not wanting to do anything. There are a few things you can do, and I would say focus on a few things, but you don't have to do everything. You can't do everything. You can't. You were not meant to do everything. We were not meant to be in isolation and doing everything by ourselves. We weren't. We weren't. So studies show that mothers handle 70% of the household's mental load. The household's mental load, 70% of it. Add on her own personal stuff. Mentally, you're overwhelmed and exhausted. And I hear this a lot when people talk about jobs, like, well, I work a physical job and you just sit at a computer all day, like as if mental exhaustion is not real, as if mental exhaustion can't manifest physically in your body and cause breakdown. Like it, the mental exhaustion is real. And like you have to pay attention to that. And handling the mental load not only leads to burnout, but like causes you to question a lot of yourself. You start struggling to make decisions that were once easier for you to make. right? You start not wanting to do things or live your own life. It affects your own happiness and your own health and your own healing and the way in which you can show up as a parent. Like you might literally be going through the motions with no like attachment to anything, right? Because of that mental load. So here's a quote from Reddit. Mine is that American parenting culture is toxic and exhausting. I mean, the constant striving for perfection and moms feeling like a failure or for not doing BLW, for example, is the toxic parenting culture I'm talking about. So baby led weaning is BLW. It's like people have found this way and they're telling that's the only way. And there's no perfect way. Like when I was preparing for motherhood, I was thoroughly convinced I was going to breastfeed. So I took classes and everything. And the mental and physical exhaustion of having preeclampsia and then eclampsia and then being in the hospital, like after my son, like I mean, I broke down. It hurt to not be able to really do it. Like I couldn't do it. With my daughter, I tried it again. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it this time. And again, we ended up in like an emergency situation and I was exhausted and confused. I'm like, my body has failed me. And breastfed her for like 2 days and I was like, I can't do it. Like I am so depleted, so depressed mentally. Like I am overwhelmed. I can't do it. I feel like now I'm not the perfect parent. I prepared for all this, right? And then I had eclampsia again, right after her, which is rare, but it happened. Like it's that alone made me feel like I started to think about like, dang, there's no perfect way to do this. Are my babies fed? Am I taking responsibility for caring for me and them in a way that ensures that everyone's taken care of, right? My son sleeps with me. Not every night, but most nights he wants to sleep next to me or his nana. I let him do that at 3 years old. Some babies need that. People talk about how difficult it's going to be, how co-sleeping isn't safe. We were fine. There are safe ways to sleep in the same bed with your kid. I did it. I made sure it was safe. Doctor said it was safe. Like there was no issue. That's what worked for him. I would much prefer him to have his needs met than to force him to sleep by himself. And then he has these night terrors or he's waking up every 30 minutes, which is what was happening. Now he sleeps all night. I'm able to get up before him and get myself dressed and my daughter dressed and then him. His needs are getting met, right? My son doesn't eat solid foods and I don't force him. If my kids are eating something that they picked out and then suddenly they don't want it, all right, that's not what they're eating. Give them another option so that they're fed. I don't want to force them to eat something they don't want because there are a lot of times that I thought I wanted something and I cooked it. And as soon as I was done cooking it, I didn't want it. And I packed it up in the fridge. Why would I force my kids if I don't even follow that like standard? Like that's crazy. Like we human beings. There's no perfect mom. I think there are millions of ways to be an excellent parent. Do that. So for y'all, what's one expectation of motherhood that you've had to unlearn? Just curious. Let me know in the comments. So those are my hot takes. Now, I don't want to just like end it there, right? So I think it's important for us to think about like the last time you held back from saying something because you thought people would judge you. Why do we feel like we have to filter our real experiences? I know why. It's because online and in person, everybody feels like they know better and they can do better. But you can't do better in my life, with my experiences, with my thoughts, right? Nobody has been with me 24/7 except me my whole life. People have spent a significant amount of time with me, but in terms of being 24/7 in my body, it's me. Same with my kids. So like you can have thoughts and opinions and perspective and guidance and coaching and things like that to help me through some very specific things. But in terms of like telling me exactly how to live my life, no, especially because now we're in a time where people carefully curate what they show. And that's your business. Maybe you're making money from it, whatever. Cool. You can't tell everybody exactly what to do. It's why on this podcast and even in my work with Parent Porch, like I try to bring experts and different perspectives in, because the ultimate goal is for you to figure out how to do this your way. Trying to follow everything that everybody says, you will be drowning, because there's millions of people saying conflicting things every single day. Every day. Every day. You have to figure out what works for you, and you don't have to filter your real experiences. If you don't want to share it online, that's cool. Find a safe place to do it. A therapist, friends, a supportive mom group. Like, filtering is what led us to all of these like hot takes that we see all the time, right? Like, okay, baby-led weaning works for some kids, and for others, they want to like go through the path I took, where we were eating like soft pureed foods first and worked our way up. They still fed. They still figured out solids, right? And then none of that matters to my child with autism, who has like sensory aversions when it comes to food and textures, because most of his nutrition comes from smoothies and Ensure. So, right? Like, I also think about people thinking like every minute of a toddler or elementary school child's day should be these specific learning activities. Yo, like let them play and explore. Let them go outside and build relationships naturally. Let them ask you questions, converse with them. Let them try new things. Let them daydream. Let them draw and journal and sketch. Like, no, we don't do constant learning activities here, because there's so many ways to learn. We're learning everywhere we go. We're constantly learning. I'm learning about my neighborhood all the time because something's changing all the time. I'm learning new things at work all the time. I'm learning new things in parenting all the time. I learn things from consuming other people's content and having conversations and traveling and trying new things. Same with them, right? Like, I'm not trying to have this super tight schedule where they never get to explore the world. Because the reality is, we are not sitting in a classroom 100% of the time. Why should they? That's no, no. I even think that the way schools are set up, which is and I'm a former teacher, so it's mostly set up for compliance and teaching kids specifics. I hated it. I prefer discussion, for us to explore, for us to come to conclusions together based on information, all that kind of thing. Like, yes, there are specific ways to do math and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, I just want you to figure out the way to get to the right answer in a way that makes sense in your brain and that you understand why we do what we do. Not like you have to follow this way of getting it done, because that's crazy. That's not even how I succeeded in math and science. I succeeded by using my own brain and my own way of doing it. And some teachers didn't like that. And my mama and grandma was like, did she get the right answer or not? She did. So why are we up here? Why did you call me? Right? Like, let them explore. There's no real reason for my 2-year-old to be reading a full book. Unless they're like a child prodigy, right? I'm not going to stop them. But they're not less intelligent than anyone else because they're not doing that. It's not even developmentally appropriate for them to really be reading right now. When they're ready to, they will. Right? It's just like when you're ready to drive, you will. Some people are not ready at 15, 16. So I didn't get a license until I was 21. I knew how to drive. I didn't need to. It's also, I didn't need a passport until I had booked a trip to go out of country. Otherwise, like, I just have it for no reason, just because people say you should have it. No, there's like a need for it. It's like having car insurance with no car. It's useless, right? Wait until you're ready for the car insurance and then get it. You know, like, I hope this is making sense. Like, there's like so many ways to do this well, and trying to filter it and make everything be and look perfect is going to run you ragged. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to have perfect children as perfect adults. You won't know that till they get there. And even if they're not perfect, it still may have nothing to do with you and how you parented. Me and my brother are very different. And there's some lessons I'm like, didn't they tell us the same thing? Why he ain't doing why he seemed to learn something different than me, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm watching, you know, people I grew up with, multiple kids in the household, got parented the same from my perspective. They all making different choices. I grew up with some excellent kids who made their own choices and now they're in prison. And I was like shocked, right? Shocked. 'Cause I'm like, ain't no way. Not them. No. Right? It may not have anything to do with their parents. It likely has nothing to do with their parents and everything to do with the fact that they made some choices. They made some mistakes and now they got to take accountability for it, right? They have to deal with the consequences of their mistakes. Not every situation reflects poorly on the parent. We have seen people come from excellent two parent, the ideal household, right? And they are awful people, awful human beings. You don't need to put pressure on yourself. Just be great. Do the best that you can. Love your kids, talk to them, encourage them, allow them to feel their feelings, support them, be balanced in that. Allow them to experience full range of emotions. Teach them how to seek support and be resourceful and all of those things. Make sure that you're aware of what's happening, right? And if they're having screen time, just like monitor it. What are they doing? What are they watching? What are they listening to? Who are they talking to? Make space at the dinner table and in the car to like naturally, like, this is just what we do. Do your best to build those relationships and build trust and be a safe space and be in touch with their academics and their activities and support them and show up for them and all that kind of thing and do what you need to do to make those things happen. If you want to travel with them, do it. If they want to do sports, do it. If they don't, it's cool. It doesn't make them less of a dope child. They just are who they are. And at some point, maybe they'll be interested in those things, right? And maybe they won't. Some people aren't interested in arts and music and stuff. They can still be great people, right? So make sure that, you let me know in the comments your unpopular parenting opinions. I have one final question for y'all, and I'm looking at my notes. Y'all know me. If you had to share one popular parenting opinion, what would it be? You can send me a DM or you can comment on this post or any of the shorts that may come up from this post. And, I want to hear about it. I want us to talk about it. I will be looking at the good ones and, I'll be looking at all of them, obviously, and probably like responding. But, based on what you say, we may end up having a whole episode where I bring on a couple guests and like we really dig into some of these opinions. Because again, my ultimate goal is for you to figure out how to parent your way without the extra pressure that society puts on you to be perfect. There's no perfect way to parent. I'm going to say it over and over and over again, right? You can be good and you can learn along the way, and that is okay. So if this episode hits home for you, share it. Share it with a fellow mom. Tag them in the comments. Share with dads. Like share with parents, grandparents, godparents, aunts, uncles. So we can continue to have this conversation and help you, be the best you can for yourself and for your kids. Make sure you subscribe, like, share. Make sure you turn on the notifications so you can see anytime I have new content. And make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Uncaped Mama to keep the discussion going. Lastly, I don't know what I'm talking about next time. I got a few things coming up. I do want to remind y'all, I have a website up, so it's uncapedmama.com. Make sure you check that out. I'm super excited about, having my website up. There are resources there, some of my favorite things there. So go click, shop, look at what I have there. I've also got links, to all my socials there and a little bit about me on there as well. This will continue to grow and expand too over time. One thing I want to do in a next episode is talk with my mom. So I mentioned it to her 2 weeks ago, and I mentioned it again last week. So I think I'm gonna try to get her on here for us to have a mother-daughter chat, and maybe a few of them. We'll figure out what the topic is going to be. Yeah, that's that. So, all right, I will see y'all later. Just so you know, if you disagree with what I said, you're probably part of the problem. Oh, there's a child coming in here. Hey, girl. Hey. Bye, y'all. Hey. Say bye-bye. Yeah, bye-bye.